My father still thinks FD is the safest thing in life. Is he right or it's that outdated?
FD, coming to a point, it's all relative, right? So someone needs FD for safety, someone needs FD for interest, someone needs FD in terms of as a security.
So is that the right move that's done by us in terms of investments?
Getting rentals, maybe a surety in life. But over a period of time, if you look at real estate, is losing its scene in terms of investments.
Compounding is just like Shah Rukh Khan's career.
It's all about interest on interest. So effectively, you have a principal, you earn interest, and then eventually on interest on interest.
So what do you suggest? How do people invest and still have peace of mind at the end of the day?
I think that brings peace of mind. Second, they should be investing in areas where they are comfortable with a longer horizon in mind.
Why should I invest in you? Why should I trust Vyom? What would be your answer to me?
We eat the bigger pie in terms of what you're serving to our clients. So that's skin in the game.
Okay. FD, real estate, gold, equity. What is your go-to investment and why?
Right combination, the right age.
Grandfather, everybody comes, beta, gold ले लो, beta, gold में invest करो, that is the best.
Compounding is a magic.
तुम नहीं समझोगी, तुम्हारी क्या जरूरत है?
Women have been the powerhouse of finance.
Oh, is it? And you're bold enough to even share that. Females will be more interested.
Definitely, for staying purpose, you need to look at a house, and a good house is also equally important.
Absolutely.
I should have taken a piggy bank to all my elders.
Right, I agree. नहीं, बंटवारा नहीं करना हमको. Congratulations to you for that vision. Is given to an Indian.
Speak to your best friend.
Hello and welcome everyone to a fresh new episode of Inside Corporate Cultures. You know what? In India, money is not just about numbers. It's a culture. For some, it's like a fixed deposit that their parents have done when they were born. For some, it's like a real estate property that their families have been saving for lives. For some, it's form of a gold that is being transferred through blessings. But you know what? Money is much more than this. Not just security, but freedom. Not just wealth, but well-being. Not just about families, but about the country. And that is why we thought it's such a beautiful topic to be brought to a platform of Inside Corporate Cultures. Because money is not just about shaping families. Money is also about shaping mindset, organizations, opportunities, and culture that our future generation is going to build in. And that's exactly the vision of our guest today. He believes and feels about reimagining India's financial culture. He is someone who chose to move away from top corporate roles that someone could actually only aspire to be at and started something of its own, beautiful, called the Swayom, asset management company built on trust and care and love, where the wealth is being taken care with love and so that people can enjoy their living with utmost opulence. It's my privilege to invite the visionary behind this journey, Mr. Radha Raman Agarwal, Managing Director and CEO of Swayom Advisors Limited.
Thank you, Swati. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
Thank you, sir, for being in this show. You know what, sir? I would like to tell you something. People say that culture speaks for itself. But you know what? In your case, it's absolutely true. Because just when we released our ICC series featuring Swayom, we had an overwhelming response. I had a lot of DMs, messages in my inbox asking that who is the mind behind this journey. And that's why this episode is so special for us because we just don't get to meet the visionary. We also get to hear the visionary today. So we are all very excited.
Thank you, Swati, for inviting me on the show. I'll be very happy to share my experience and my journey with the younger generation in terms of what is going to happen in finance, how things are going to move.
Oh wow, I think it's going to be an amazing masterclass for all of us. Okay, so starting, I have a very relatable and connecting question. So that is, so my FD, my father still thinks FD is the safest thing in life. Is he right or it's that outdated?
Again, FD, coming to a point, it's all relative, right? So someone needs FD for safety, someone needs FD for interest, someone needs FD in terms of as a security. But at the end of the day, if you look at financial, it depends in terms of your profile, where are you looking at. But it's an asset class which is slightly getting outdated over a period of time, given the tax structures, lower rate of interest and inflation eating on. But at the same time, it's a traditional asset to hold on. So it depends on the individual where it stands right now.
Okay, so my father is still relatively correct.
relative to that extent, but there are newer asset classes which are evolving now. So as a country, we are moving into different asset classes, and as an individual, you need to decide where you stand in your life and then take it forward.
Okay. Amazing. That's something to take off. So when I was discussing with you and you talked about your journey, I was like super impressed with the risk-taking capability and attitude that you had. So you yourself have left such a cushy jobs at Asian Paints and Pidilite. That's actually a dream of every MBA aspirant. So how did you manage to take that risk and start something of your own, a super brand called Svio?
So Swati, what has happened is about 20 years. And after 20 years, you gain a lot of experience in terms of financial world, in terms of business markets. And I wanted to put to use for something on my own. So in fact, it's not easy. It's not about risk, but it's also about maybe putting your learnings to perspective and maybe trying to think something which is bigger in life.
Okay. I'm sure it's easy for you because for the dynamic person you are, for people like us, definitely it's the risk taking attitude is not easy. But definitely, I assume the decision making that you have in your life that turns out to be very quick, and that's why you feel that this risk is not a risk for you. So amazing. Glad to know that. Okay, so there's one more question that a lot of people had when they were trying to connect. When I told them that I'm having this podcast with you, there's one question that's the maximum majority of the votes that I had. So people say that, we invest in, say, 4 to 5 properties, but we'll stay in only one property. So is that the right move that's done by us in terms of investments?
See, right now, if you look at traditionally, real estate have been an asset class where Indians have been investing. If you look at historically, people would like to invest in real estate more from a point of view of getting returns, getting rentals, maybe a surety in life. But over a period of time, if you look at real estate is losing its scene in terms of investments. Obviously, real estate is required to stay. But at the same time, real estate as an investment is losing scene because there are a lot of complications on the legal matters, low liquidity. So eventually now a lot of movement is happening from real estate to financial assets. That in fact, if you see the younger generation is moving towards financial assets now.
Yeah, that is right. That's absolutely right. So the another question that comes is that's really required at this point of time with the gold rates that's touching skies right now. We've also seen traditionally, all our parents, whenever we earn something, we save something, and our father.
So gold as an asset class has always been a traditional asset. And eventually for people have been taking this for life. At the same time, what I would look at, what is the allocation of that asset in your overall portfolio? So certain allocation for gold for definitely is to be done. But at the same time, it should not be very high because that is one way of looking at it is more in terms of it's a traditional asset which is growing at a certain CAGR. It's better to have financial assets to that extent, a certain portion in gold in terms of the portfolio.
Okay, that is brilliant. So if I say that, for instance, I earn 1 lakh a month, so what do you think that how much percentage should I be investing in gold? Because we, being girls and women, we are more interested and inclined towards the entire luxurious part of it. So what is your take on it?
So anything between 5 to 10% of your investments portfolio should be invested in gold. I
Okay.
think that's something what you should look at.
Okay, so girls, it's just 5 to 10%. Okay, not more than that. So that's an expert advice for you. So, sir, compounding is just like Shah Rukh Khan's career. Okay, it has a slow start, but then it becomes unstoppable. So, could you please explain compounding to us, people like us, in a layman or in a Bollywood style or in your style, say?
So let me explain what is compounding. So let me make it simple for the audience. It's all about interest on interest. So effectively you have a principal, you earn interest, and then eventually you earn interest on interest. So that's the power of compounding. So eventually, if I look at any example, how compounding will work for us, compounding is a magic. If you look at in Bollywood, I would call it's a magic of Shah Rukh Khan, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because that can multiply and multiply for years.
Yes, best investment
Yeah.
anyone can make. Okay, so that is very precise. I mean, any layman person who doesn't understand in compounding, I think this is a beautiful answer that you gave. So it's an interest and interest. So it's just like Shah Rukh Khan's career. That's amazing. Thank you. So Raman sir, I really found you a very interesting person. I've never seen any asset manager doing such things. When I was talking to you and your team, I got to know that whenever you do the planning for your clients, you make their wives sit, the family members sit. So there's always a thing in India, especially where people say, "तुम नहीं समझोगी, तुम्हारी क्या जरूरत है?" And you taking that in completely reverse call, get your wives into the call. That's amazing. And what's the thought process behind this?
So let me tell you, Swati, in our team, we are more women than men. And effectively, what we believe that women have been the powerhouse of finance. I think they have been managing finance in terms of the household for lives and for years. So effectively, our suggestion to all our clients have been that in terms of any managing finance, we should get women on board. They should be aware. And in a God forbid instance, for example, something goes wrong to the male partner or male husband, they should be able to take it forward the entire family. So the whole idea should be that they should be very much part of the process and they are equally involved because they are equally present there. So it's important that they are there in the whole process.
That is so impressive and fantastic. I can't believe that I'm sitting with someone who is at that position and has such a beautiful thought process towards women and bringing that revolution, that final. So, when we say that you're here to create that entire in India, that's completely right. I second that with you. Amazing. So when you left your job at Asian Paints and Pidilite, tell us the truth. We really want to know, being in the shoes of wives, that did your wife say, why are you leaving this job where you're living a very lavish life? I think that's not required.
So let me tell you honestly, the only person I asked in my life before taking this decision, I was at a plush job doing very well in the next 15 years as a head of finance, as a leadership role. It could have been a very good, nice life. But what we wanted is that we want to take a risk in life. We wanted to create something for ourselves, for our family, for the legacy to continue. So the only question I asked her, that in the evening, I remember that evening quite well, where I asked her that, what should I do? I'm thinking about this. She had only one answer for me, that whatever you think right, you should take the decision. I think she was absolutely right.
Wow. So, yeah. So, women is the backbone of every man, and that's proved. Wow.
So I would also like to highlight in terms of people who are looking at in terms of entrepreneurship, how finances can be managed well. So it's not rocket science. It's also about managing it properly. It's a general knowledge and doing it in a more efficient manner. So what we can also do is more in terms of how do we plan things so that eventually if we want to take a call, how those calls will span out over a period of time, and we have enough cushions built in onto that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I think we need more such leaders in our country. I'm so happy to be, sharing this platform with you, sir. So I just want to know that every person learns from his mistakes. So is there any silly thing that you also have ever done in your life and you still laugh about that thing? How could I do it?
There are many of them, Swati, in terms
Oh,
of
is it? And you're bold enough to even share that.
So people make mistakes, and that's the way. If you look at, I'll tell you, maybe first 3 months of my entrepreneurship, there were a lot of anxiety. We were trying to do things a different way because I come from a large corporate, trying to manage things in a very different way. So adaptability is an area where one needs to work on. And so when you understand, when you move from a job to an entrepreneurship, that's a bridge one needs to cross. I think it took about 90 odd days for me, 3 months, and then eventually it settled in. So I think that's a mistake which one should not do. One should give oneself a time. I think time is very important here.
Okay, I totally agree. Because adaptability is a buzzword that every industry right now is talking about, whether it's the leaders or it's the clients or it's the employee. And I think we should really take care of it. I find this is a very valid point and I second that thought, sir. Thank you. So we keep talking about company culture all the time, but should families also adopt certain financial culture for them? Is that anything that we should be looking at, or no, just leave it?
I think family should adopt a financial culture. So it's more about family coming together, looking at the finances, taking decisions together. I think it's more important it becomes a comprehensive decision. So today most of the families, somebody else takes a decision, or the family head primarily who's a male member takes a decision, which is not correct. The whole idea is that they should be taking a joint decision, because at the end of the day, what you're doing it for? You're doing it for the family. So eventually that what matters the most is the family, and whatever you're creating on the financial side is meant for them. So effectively, it should be a comprehensive process, bringing in a culture of togetherness, bringing in a culture of collaboration, where the decisions are taken jointly. And at the same time, everybody is party to the decision and they are aware of the decision.
Wow, I think all of us wanted to hear that out as well. And what I feel is generally when we talk about investments and money, the male side of the family is more interested. But I'm sure after this podcast, the females will be more interested. And I think you'll have more of female fan following than main fan following, because females are going to really look out for this kind of podcast and discussions. Amazing. So now this is one generational question, a traditional question specifically for our Indian people. So if you have 10 crores in your family, now the question is not more related to one person. It becomes a question for the whole family. So how do we create that financial culture within our generation so that the families don't fight over it? How do we tackle this situation? I think most of our generational families and people are facing this kind of situations.
So frankly, Swati, the one thing they should look at is whatever family tree you are having, whatever people you are having in the family, they should have an amicable discussion. Say maybe somebody will take a lead, do the things forward in terms of maybe create a trust, look at the whatever beneficiaries. I would suggest that people should maybe plan their legacy forward. So the whole idea is not about maybe fighting later, but it's better to do things together when they're alive. I think that's a very important piece to take.
Yeah, that's right. But I would just like to counter this question and by saying something that I've actually seen in the families that the head of the family, they don't tend to take that decision because they still are in that thought process of nahi batwara nahi karna humko, whatever you do. So what if there is a challenge that the head of the family is not taking that decision? What does the new generation can do at this point of time?
So they can actually preempt the discussion. I think it's a collaborative thing. So today people are getting matured. If you look at the younger generation, they have become far more smarter than the previous side. Nothing against them, but at the end of the day, they should come together, sit together and discuss it. Because eventually is going to happen. And it's better to plan it today rather than doing it tomorrow.
Right. So this is a good takeaway. I had a lot of people who had put this question to me that what should we do if our higher generation is not ready to take that decision. So you all have to come together, sit together, talk about the topic and find a solution to it and maybe convince your generation. So wow, that's a helpful answer. So there is one beautiful question I had. So if money is Maya and wealth is moksha, what's your first rule to achieve financial moksha?
So first is you need to become independent. I think the most moksha in finance is that you should not be dependent on anybody. I think that's the mantra I would like to say. I would like to be self-dependent. I think that's more important.
Okay. So if if it's a male or a female, everyone in some or the other way, you want everyone to be self-dependent in some or the other way.
Absolutely.
So I had been having a lot of discussions with your team while we were also featuring your series, and like while we was featuring you and Swayom in the series, I got to know so much about your team, and I'm so super impressed that I feel like joining your team right now. So it's been such an experience. So your team says that you're not just a leader but a mentor. How do you build that culture at Swayom? It's not easy, coming out from a team talking about a manager like that.
So first, let me tell you, the team is very energetic, and I think we have got a good team. I've been lucky. At the same time, one of the key things what I allow them to do is I allow them to fail. So in fact, we celebrate failure at times, and we tell the team that you shouldn't need to fail, but you need to fail earlier. Don't fail. Fail small. Don't fail big. So you have a liberty to fail, but at the same time, don't destroy the resources of the company. Destroy it smaller so that we can take the right steps. And the advantage we'll have is we'll have learnings from that. I think that has helped us. We had our own share of mistakes in the past as a company. But at the same time, we learned from that and moved forward.
Wow. So there's a lot of inclusivity that's happening in your mind. I really love it. And I can't believe that I've been discussing this with you and you really have that culture because most of the people, they have this thing in them that, we should have a boss who allows us to fail, be ourselves, the sense of belongingness. And it's so beautifully that you've created for your team. No doubt how and why they are appreciating you as a boss. Lovely. Swayom, when I was just researching about Swayom, so I found that it has created its own space, a culture, ethics. So there, when I've seen people, the feedbacks, they actually trust your brand. So when I look at the market, which is currently very risky and everything is like turbulent, how have you maintained such a credible brand for yourself that people are really looking up for?
So let me tell you, say it's all about volatilities will remain in short run. But if you get long run, then effectively whatever volatilities are there, that gets factored in. So over a period of time, the whole thing what you're looking at is, are we reliable? Second, whatever we are doing is sustainable or not. So if you are able to do these two things in an ethical manner, I think that's the success of our mantra.
Okay, very nice. So I have also talked to a lot of your investors when we were in the process of taking the testimonial. So they say that Raman sir has his own skin in the game. That's why we can trust him. So why is investment of our personal stakes so important?
Skin in the game is very important, right? So effectively, it's basically walk the talk. So whatever you're saying, says like I am having a bigger pie of what I'm serving to my clients. So that's very, very important from our aspect. And from a financial world perspective, also, it's very important when the client knows that I'm investing my own personal money, hard-earned money here. He becomes far more confident if he feels that I'll take care of that money as our own money. That's very, very important in this sector.
Okay, beautiful. When the market crashes, our heart crashes too. So what's the takeaway that we don't panic as investors?
See, historically, I'll tell you is equity markets have given returns over a period of time. So if I look at volatilities, they can stand for a year or two. But if you look at blocks of 3 years, 5 years and 10 years, Equities have been an asset class which has been very good. So don't get into volatilities. My suggestion will be that think for long run. You're not here to create a wealth maybe for 1 or 2 years. You're here to create wealth for life and for the family.
Okay, beautiful. So, sir, when you founded Swayom, okay, so what was that one problem in the entire investment industry that you noticed and you felt that this is something that I need to fix?
So I think one area I would like to discuss is more in terms of people looking at more as short term. So that's a piece I would like to solve it. Second is attention. So a lot of people used to ignore it. I think that's an area where they need to take charge of their own assets.
Raman sir, you often say that, Swayom is not just about fun, it's about culture. What do you mean by that?
So our culture is more in terms of how inclusive we can be, how we take care of people, how we take care of assets, like our own assets in the company. The whole idea here is that can we be more inclusive and we can have a collaborative growth with our clients.
So, sir, if I already own 3 properties and 2 businesses, and I am having enough money and I know I have good investments. So, but still, if there is a chance to invest in Swayom and still earn a lot of money.
So I think let me talk about only Swayom. See, effectively, it's not about just investing in an AIF or not investing in a financial asset. It's about doing the right allocation. So I think you should be looking at what is a fair allocation in your portfolio, and basis which you should decide your allocations to any fund or any other financial instruments.
And how do we decide on the fair allocations?
That depends on your age, that depends on your risk profile, that depends on your income, the disposable side of it, the family income. So there are multiple factors. So there are SEBI registered advisors who are going to help you out. But at the end of the day, you need to be involved with them. I think people miss that part
Yes.
regularly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people keep on working hard to earn a lot of money, but I think we tend to forget to invest some time and actually discuss with experts about this particular fact. So, when people have 10 crore assets and they've invested everywhere, obviously they have sleepless nights when the market is rolling up and down. So, what do you suggest? How do people invest and still have peace of mind at the end of the day?
So one should always invest in terms of a long term. I think that brings peace of mind. Second, they should be investing in areas where they're comfortable with a longer horizon in mind. I think if we combine these two, they do a proper planning in terms of where to invest and they do it for a longer period of time, I think that volatilities will get over and you'll not have anxieties in life.
Okay. So, but I do agree with you. But when the markets are actually in a turbulent stage, so it's very difficult for us as investors to keep calm. So, how do we actually sail through that time? And do we need to talk to our fund managers? What's going on? Yeah. How do we keep calm at that point of time?
My suggestion will be that you choose the right fund managers, you look at the right set of people, that's more important, and let them do their own work.
Okay.
And you should be remaining invested for a longer period of time. That's more important.
Okay, that is fantastic. So the takeaway is, in order to not panic at the time of turbulence, we should always select the right fund manager for us. So you do a little research on them, you trust them. At the end of the day, trust is also equally important because when we are talking about long-term investment, if there is no trust, we'll still not have any peace of mind at the end of it. So it's very beautiful to know that you have been also yourself investing along with your clients. So if I may ask that how much of percentage of your investment is done in your Swayom?
So I have a sizable investment. Majority of my money lies in the fund. The whole idea is that I should walk the talk. I should be looking at where I'm telling people to invest and recommending I should be investing myself. I think that's a high allocation if I ask you.
Oh, okay. So if we ask how much of allocation is it?
That depends on the individual capacity.
Like
That
you
also-
mentioned earlier,
So
right?
that depends
Okay.
in terms of where you stand in your positioning in terms of financial side, and then maybe within the family how you invested. Depends in terms of your risk profile. So there are multiple factors to look at. But at the same time, obviously, you should look at allocations, and within the allocations, one should look at our fund as well.
Okay. So, sir, as you've been mentioning that we need to select the right fund manager for ourselves, we should trust them. So, for people like me, like when you're mentioning you're putting your skin in the game and you're even investing your own funds into this asset, I feel that is one of the biggest proof, evidence that, we can trust this particular brand. So, these are certain examples that we can look what a fund manager is doing. So, these are certain evidences that small cues that we can pick up if this is the right person for us or not. So at that level of wealth, we're talking about the HNIs and everyone, the returns alone doesn't excite people, right? So what does Swayom give beyond numbers about peace, freedom, maybe even legacy?
So I
What do we
think,
expect?
So the SOM stands for credibility, the SOM stands for sustainability, and SOM stands for long-term association. I think if I look at these three are some important parameters where we look at, and we would like to work with the clients for a longer period of time. We are not looking at short-term valuation, we are looking at long-term legacy to be created.
Correct. So I think obviously this is a place where if we are looking for the peace of mind specifically and trust someone, so and you are ready to for a long term investment, so this is a place where you should be looking at. So you know, in India, a flat in Worli is cost like whooping amount, and it's like a status symbol. Everybody wants to invest in that. But investing quietly in equities isn't that visible for us. So we cannot show our status at that point of time. How do you convince the HNIs that unseen wealth is more powerful than seen luxury? And especially for today's generation. We believe in all these things, right?
So let me tell you, obviously you need a flat to stay or a house to stay. Say when I look at investments in a house property or maybe a real estate, the whole idea should be how liquid they are, how maybe we evaluate them against the financial assets, and eventually how do we create value. So I think that evaluation should happen between the two. Definitely for staying purpose, you need to look at a house, and a good house is also equally important.
Absolutely. So, sir, how does it feel? You start your fund, and in no time, Swayam ranks as number 2 fund. That's like hitting a 6 on the first ball itself.
In fact, let me tell you, it adds a lot of pressure on us. The whole idea is that can we sustain this? And in the process, can we make sure that we do a sustainable journey for our clients and stakeholders?
Okay. But it's not just the end here, right? What I've been observing that Swayam has been in the top 10 performing funds for straight 14 months. I mean, how is it easy for you to maintain this consistency and how do you do that?
So let me tell you, the credit to the team. We believe in deep research, we believe in consistency, and we believe in hard work. So we have no shortcut to hard work. So I think the mantra here is very clear that do consistently whatever you are doing, and make sure you do it with a lot of diligence, and efforts should get into it so that we're able to deliver it consistently and deliver it in the favor of the markets.
So I see a lot of appreciation to the team, the research team that's coming in for us. So that's beautiful. So, sir, if I come up to you and I say that, why should I invest in you? Why should I trust Vyom? What would be your answer to me?
So let me tell you, first thing is that we eat the bigger pie in terms of what you're serving to our clients. So that's skin in the game. Second, we have our secret recipe, which recipe is about the experience what I had during my corporate experience, my current team, and the whole collaborative effort with our clients. So I think these three combined together is a clear mantra in terms of our success.
So, if Indian families want to adopt one nice financial habit, what would you suggest them?
One important thing I would suggest them that start early. I think most of the people miss the bus and they don't start early in life. In fact, I started a bit late, let me tell you. At the same time, the whole idea is that you need to get convinced, and maybe if they start early, the whole piece of power of compounding, which I discussed earlier, that kicks in very fast. That's very important, and the family comes together. I think it also helps in family bonding.
Okay. So when you're referring to start early with this new age, even our, 16-year, 18-year, they're too smart than way behind. So what does that early stand for? What is that age that you're referring to?
I would like that we will take up at the early age. See, in fact, some bit of education for our kids, knowledge about banking, knowledge about what is happening on the stocks, basic knowledge of finance is need to be imparted to kids as well. And so the early age they start learning, they understand the value of money. I think that's very important.
Wow. You know what? So why I'm loving this discussion is what, in just a financial discussion, which I did not know would turn out so well because we have our families being involved, our legacies being involved, our wives being involved, our kids being involved. So I am really loving this discussion. I did not think it would come out so beautifully. So stitching to the point that you mentioned that you believe that you started late. So what do you feel that what was the toughest lesson in your life that you have learned? And if you had certain time or a way or a time machine to go back and fix it, what would that be?
So let me tell you, in fact, I would like to maybe fix those things that I could have started with early in terms of my career for investing. That's one area I would like to look at. Second is in terms of how do I make sure that even others at a younger age, they get a proper education and knowledge about it. I think these are two critical things which I would like to cover.
Okay, beautiful. So I've been seeing that you've openly been talking about Swayom being a 5,000 crore company. What a vision, first of all. Congratulations to you for that vision. So how do you think that the vision is achievable and how would this go beyond numbers? How can you take it more than that?
So I think it's not about numbers. The whole idea is that how do we sustainably create value? create value for all our stakeholders, be it our employees, be it our partners, be it our clients. So the whole important thing is we like to value the whole ecosystem. And that's the way we like to take the journey forward.
Okay. So I'm sure when you're looking at that number, you have all the plans in place and you have all the idea behind it. So that's what is making you visionary. So, sir, talking about Swayom, because I see a lot of its contribution is going to our Indian financial culture as well. So, if the entire progress of Swayom goes as per plan, what do you think? What difference could it make to a normal average Indian family?
So let me tell you, it's about adding drop to an ocean. At the same time, every drop counts. So it's important that we contribute to individuals, individual contribute to businesses, businesses contribute to the economy, economy contributes to the country. I think it is going to have a long-term impact. Not only us, I think all the stakeholders will help the country to move forward. That's very, very important for all of us.
Wow. So I think your vision is not just restricted to your clients or maybe two families, three families. Your vision is actually growing to a national level, making our nation richer. I am super, super impressed with this answer. Amazing. You know, Swayom has built such a good brand for itself. Now, in such a volatile and risky market, how do you perceive that people feel when they're part of Swayom? They feel a sense of safety and belongingness.
So let me tell you, when you look at with clients and stakeholders, the most important thing they talk about Swayom is a long-term vision. So we don't do things for short run. I think that's very, very important for all of us. And it's very also important more in terms of making sure that stakeholders are part of the family. So it's a Swayom family which moves forward for a long-term duration. I think that's what our mantra is.
Oh, wow. Fabulous. So, Raman sir, if you may allow, I would like to move to a very fun segment in our show, which is called as Rapid Fire. Are you ready to take that one?
Absolutely.
So, let's shoot the questions. The most overrated money advice that is given to an Indian.
Speak to your best friend.
The money trend you think will vanish in 5 years.
The cryptocurrency,
One line you would tell a teenager about money.
handle it safely.
Gadgets or SIP, where should that first 2K for a Gen Z go?
SIP and Gazette put together.
Oh, wow. How do we do that?
Split the money.
That's a smart answer. Culture at work versus culture at home. Which shapes money habits more?
Culture at home.
Okay. People keep listening. This is a point to be made. Compounding is like complete the sentence without numbers.
Compound is like magic.
Oh, beautiful. One financial mistake you will never repeat.
Never start late.
One expense you would cut from every Indian's budget.
Fat weddings.
Oh, lovely. Investment habit you wish you started at the age of 10.
Managing forex money.
Investment habit you wish you had at the age of 10.
I should have taken a piggy bank to all my elders.
Right, I agree. If someone wants to partner with Swayom, what's the one mindset they must bring?
They should have a long-term vision.
Okay. FD, real estate, gold, equity. What is your go to investment and why?
Right combination, the right age.
Wow, brilliant. Amazing. That was a superb rapid fire. I'm really amazed with the answers that you gave, I'm sure. Wow, what a rich and wonderful conversation we had. So, let's move on to one of our very special segment that we have, especially at Inside Corporate Cultures, which is called as the Sutra Moment. So, we want all our guests to leave with a sutra. Sutra means a wisdom that's tied to a thread for all our listeners, professionals, investors, and family to take back. So, sir, if I may ask you to share a sutra in a Krishna Arjuna style, if you were the Krishna and our listeners were the Arjuna, what is that one timeless thought you would want to leave our audiences with?
So take charge of your personal finance. It's not optional. I think it's very important that you take charge of your own finance here. You look at it like a car and you are on the driver's seat. I think it's very, very important for all individuals, be it male or female, be it of any age bracket. They need to be in charge of their own stuff. They need to drive their own car, which is their personal finance car, and take it to a logical destination. I think that's very important.
Wow. Take charge of your personal finance. It's not optional. What a powerful statement it is. And I'm sure everyone should take this takeaway from today's session. So we would also like you to actually write this in our Sutrapedia. So we have it documented. We have all our industry leaders would be actually putting their sutras in it and make this a Sutrapedia for us. That's take charge of your personal finance. It's not optional. I am highly, highly impressed with this sutra. Thank you so much, sir. So, when most of the people think we are going to talk about money, it's more about investments and return. But today, talking to you, sir, was an completely different experience, because what I realized that talking about money is not just about investments. It's about talking about relationship within a family. It's about freedom for our next generations. It's about living life with love, dignity, and peace. So that's what make you apart is what I feel today, that because we have stitched and weaved these topics in several other aspects. And what I see you different is that you are actually enabling people to invest, at the same time convincing them to live their life with ease and love. So, I want to urge, if there's anyone who wants to step away from the stress of chasing returns and live life happily, then I think Raman sir is the one you should be actually speaking up. What a conversation. From breaking money myths to realizing that what life we can live. And that's how a brand Swayom is made. It's not just a fund management company, it's culture in itself.
So let me tell you, Swati, inside corporate cultures is creating a lot of value. So I think not just about getting into people and maybe talking to brands, it's also about getting the inner sense of the brand coming out. I think it's very important that what you feel, what is the culture in a company that comes out to everybody in the world. They were able to experience the brand, they're able to manage things well. The whole idea here is to understand that how the brand gets absorbed, how the brand reflection comes to the people at large. I think your company is doing a wonderful job in terms of making sure that that comes out completely in a very transparent manner, and a very, very ethical and very, I would say, manner which goes to a larger public and they understand and experience that company. It's beneficial for both the sides. It makes sure that the both sides, both in terms of people as well in terms of companies, come together and experience each other. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, remember, ICC is not just talking about workplaces, it's about talking about life. So, culture is not just that is written in HR strategies or in investment brochures. It is something that you live, breathe, and carry with you for lifetime. So, if you find this particular conversation was meaningful for you, please hit like, subscribe, and follow this channel. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.